Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I appreciate all of you for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, please do. As Chris, the owner of this channel, had mentioned before, the more subscribers the better for the YouTube algorithm to spread awareness of his love for Ataris, vintage handheld games, and vintage audio-video systems. All it takes is just a click and then, boom! Now let's get into this video with Chris.
All right. Thanks, Adam, for that emotional introduction. Okay. Sorry, everyone, for having to do that. Those AI commercials were just driving me insane on television and on YouTube videos. So, of course, I just had to share that with you. Anyways, back to this video here. What do we have in this box? Well, it's probably going to be one of my top 5 holy grail of Atari items. And I say that because you don't get to see this very often. And it's taken over 2.5 years, probably 3 years almost, for me to find this. So let's get this out of this box and check it out. Well, here it is. This is a 1983 Astra 1620 dual disk drive for the Atari 8-bit computers. Now, one thing to note about this particular item that I purchased is that the seller had noted on the listing that this was not tested. So this might not even work, but that doesn't really matter to me because I really needed this in my collection to complete it, or at least to check the list off to say it was completed. And if it doesn't work, I'll get this to work eventually. And what do I mean by my collection? Well, I do have quite a bit of the Atari, I think I have all of them perhaps, the Atari 8-bit 5 1/4 inch drives back in the days. Now, these are drives that I probably have noticed from looking at magazines, having them at my friend's house, or even in my own possession, which I think I had a total of only 2 drives in my possession as a child. The rest of these in my collection came about after the fact as an adult. So what are these 5 1/4 inch drives that I have? Well, here they are. There is a total of 8 different 5 1/4 inch Atari drives that I have. Going from left to right, that's an Atari 1050 and a Track AT D2 drive. In the middle, there are 2 Indus GT drives. And the right side on the top shelf is an Atari 810 drive. The shelf below it, we have in the middle a Rana Systems 1000, and under that is an Atari XF551 drive. Then in my workshop, I'm cleaning out my Percom data drives to be displayed. And last but not least, the Astra 1620. One thing also to note about this particular drive is that the power cord is built in. So I'll never have to worry about losing that, whereas other drives you plug in an AC adapter or you unplug the cord itself, and who knows where that might be misplaced or lost or whatever might happen to it. So I'm glad that this will never go away. It will always be with this particular drive. And what else did I get with this drive? Well, this over here. And you're probably wondering, bunch of paper, right? Well, it is. But it really is, I think it's photocopied. And it's the Astra 1620 Dual Disk Drive User Manual. So, yeah, it looks like it's photocopied. I can see the lines. Pretty obvious. I'm not certain if this is how it was presented to the consumer when purchased new, but that's all right. And why do I say that? Well, on Atari Age, that website, there was a bunch of, I guess, posts that came out about maybe a year ago that users were asking about this particular manual, if anyone had a copy of it, and if so, can they post it because they can't find it anywhere. So what I'll do is I'll check again and make sure that no one has located a copy of this manual, and if that's the case, I will go ahead and scan all 30 pages of this single-sided, and then I'll make a PDF out of it and post it up there on a public site for everyone to enjoy. But back to this drive. Like I said, it's great that I could check it off the list. And a little history of it, I guess, in case you're not aware of why this was pretty cool looking, or at least sought after back in the 1980s. Well, you know, there are 2 drives on top of each other. And what this could allow you to do is make each drive double density. So what does double density get you? Well, it gives you a whopping 360 total kilobytes of storage. 180 on each floppy that would be inserted for each drive. Now, you're probably thinking, what does that really mean, that storage space? Well, to give you an example of how much you can store, let's just take example of the iconic game Pac-Man. That takes about 4 kilobytes of space. So roughly 1% of it would be used if you had that on a floppy in one of these drives. And back then I had a BBS, a bulletin board system, which there's a cool video I created about those. Check it out. The link's on the top right if you want to see more about BBSs back in the 80s. Now there's also some advantages of having this versus having 2 drives, which would have the equivalent amount of storage space, is that you wouldn't have to take up as much real estate space. That's right. Think about it. You'd have to have 2 drives taking up 2 spaces on your desk, because there would be 2 cases of it. Plus, you'd have 2 power plugs to plug into the outlets. So this is a little bit better for managing your space, as well as it looks pretty cool. My issue is that back in the day, this thing ran for about $600, which is pretty much equivalent to $1,900 in today's money. And thinking back then, I was a 12-year-old. I don't think I could afford that or pull that off of having my parents buy that for me. So this was always going to be a pipe dream. So what's going to be next is that I want to clean this up a bit first, and I'm going to open it up before I even plug this in. Because something like this, being about 42 years old and not tested, well, I just don't want to take a chance if anything's gotten shaken around or blown up, or who knows what these look like inside. If something is leaking, if something's damaged, if something's been tampered with before, I certainly don't want to plug this in and see what happens. So I'm going to just open up this case and then take a look, as well as clean this thing up. And then we'll come right back and I'll show you what it looks like inside, as well as the final product when it's all done. One thing I did forget to show you guys before we open this up is the bottom. It has a very interesting design. First of all the footings were there, which is great. And there is a tag on here. It's got the product model number, Astra 1620, and then a serial number. So all that's nice to see. But you see the bottom, it is a metal grate with holes in there. And why? Well, ventilation. You have 2 drives on top of each other. I'm sure this will definitely help with ventilation. But with that in mind, it also brings in a lot of dust depending upon how you keep your work area clean or not. So that's going to be something interesting to see inside. Now, as far as the cleaning goes, everything did come out pretty well. The cord wasn't too bad, surprisingly. The sides, though, you can see it's got a lot of the yellowing. We can address that at a later time. I have some ideas for that. There were some scuffs that I still need to work on, which I will get to, because right now I just wanted to clean it up and then open it up. So here's something I noticed. I took the 6 screws out from the bottom, and the 2 that were over here at the top, or actually on the back side of it. Check this out. This is still on the screw tip. You see all that? So that tells me this wasn't open. This has not been open for some time. Both these screws have a lot of dust on it, and even the hole has dust coming out of it. So that's kind of a good sign to know that it probably wasn't open up recently to troubleshoot. But then again, when was this fully tested to see if it really works? So we're going to check that out. So what we're going to do now is turn it back on its bottom here so we can just lift it up, I believe. I'm going to do this kind of carefully. This is a very heavy unit. All right. We take the front cover off first. And then I believe this should come out pretty easily. I still have cables in the front because it has the lights there, so you can see what I mean. I want to be careful about that. Wow, let's not breathe in too deeply here. This is really dusty. So, wow, it is really bad. Which is good, right? Because that means, I don't know what it means, but check that out. I will give this a nice thorough cleaning before I even think about turning this thing on. Look at all that. These are not dust bunnies. They're more like tumbleweed. So we will clean this up and I'll be right back. I got to get some vacuuming going on and a lot of deep cleaning. I'll probably have to remove both drives because I need to get in between and then check those capacitors out and make sure all the cables are still intact, which I'm sure they are because I don't think anybody opened this. I keep saying that because I'm hopeful. So let's get to that and I'll be right back. All right, check out the end results. It looks pretty good.
Damn!
Oh, yeah.
You can actually see the components now. It was just buried under just dust and gunk and I don't know. I mean, it was really thick. I probably went through a roll of paper towels, a bunch of wipes, a lot of Q-tips. I blew a lot of air out of here, used a filtered fan to get all the dust out of the air because I did not want to breathe that. I also polished or buffed off a lot of the scuffs that were on the plastic case and checked out the capacitors and anything else of wiring, if anything was loose or of concern. I didn't see anything wrong. Also checked the fuse that's in here. It is still good. So everything looks fine. And what I'm going to do is plug this in, turn it on, and let's just see if we get power and just make sure nothing's smoking. And if there does, I have a little show for you. You're going to get a little bonus with this video, but hopefully no white smoke in this one. And then if that works great, what I'm going to do is hook it up to the computer, put a floppy in there, and see how it goes. I also have to say that I did clean the heads. I did get inside the drive, so I did remove the one to get inside there to clean it out. So everything's been pretty cleaned up. I mean, this is as best as I can get it. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to plug it in, and we'll turn it on. All right, here we go. Power on. Drives ran, and the power light is on. All right, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to connect the data cable to my Atari 800 XL and put a floppy in there, and let's see if it boots up. Okay, I think I'm ready to go here. I have the data cable connected to the back of the Astra drives into the Atari 800 XL, which you cannot see. It's off camera at the moment. And power is connected to the outlet. So we're ready to rock and roll. Let's boot up with the media of Sparta-DOS.
This is Sparta!
So we're going to put that in the top drive. I believe that's how it's going to read. I'm just going to press it down like that. I think we're good to go here. I won't put anything into the second drive yet. I want to just make sure we can boot off the first drive. And I think we're all set. So let me go and power this on. Okay. And we'll turn the computer on. Oh, I love that sound. And check it out. It's actually going through the tracks. You can see it moving. Nice and smooth, actually. And very quiet. Alright, Sparta-DOS is showing up on the screen. Let's see if I can show you that. So we're ready to go with that. You know what? Let me just type DOS directory. Here we go. So we are seeing what is on there. And I think what I'll do now, let's take that disk out and put it into the other drive. Let's see here. I'm holding the camera on my hand. I don't have it mounted right now because I'm trying to show you everything. It's in drive 2. Let's type in D2. All right, and directory and D2. Awesome. It can read from both drives. So this is a success. I'm very happy about this. I wasn't sure how this drive was going to turn out, to be honest. It was kind of scary looking at first, but, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? This turned out to be great. I'm not going to do much more than just put it back together again. I just wanted to make sure it was clean and that it works. And maybe for future projects or future use, I'll take it out again. But for now, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. Nothing blew up, it reads, and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to put this back together again, and then we'll do one more test, and we'll call it a day. Okay, we're at the home stretch here. All the screws have been put in on the bottom here. The bottom, again, looks nice and clean. Ready to go. So let's turn this thing over. And we're going to test this one more time as it's plugged into my Atari 800 XL. And we'll just see if it boots up into DOS again. Power's plugged in. Data connection connected to the back as well as to the Atari 800 XL again. We're going to put Sparta DOS top drive. Well, actually, we're going to turn it on first. Sounds good. Put it in the top drive. Close the latch. Okay. Turn it on the computer. Sounds good. Sparta DOS coming up. Perfect. This is a nice pickup. I'm happy that I got this finally. Took some time, but it's well worth the wait. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this particular drive. Have you heard about it before? Is this something you've ever wanted to get yourself if you're an Atari user or Atari collector? Because, it is one of those cool looking drives that you don't see often. But when you have a chance to get this, I just couldn't pass it up. So I'm happy I have it. I should also mention that I did scan all 30 pages of the user manual and the getting started documentation for this Astra 1620. There's a couple links I put in this video description if you want to download the PDFs for it. I think that's about it for this video.
Chris, I got this. That's all for this video. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, keep your gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.